Attention passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave division rivals stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Let's get to the news. Now guys, if you've been following the Steelers closely over the past few months, you know that the offseason has been a roller coaster. The trade of George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys in May was a big shock, especially considering how promising Pickens looked last season. He was emerging as a true playmaker, a deep threat, and someone who could be a cornerstone receiver for years to come. So, losing him left a noticeable gap in the wide receiver core, and with minicamps wrapping up recently, there's been a lot of speculation about what the Steelers are planning to do to fill that void. The team hasn't yet made a big splash in free agency or through trades, which has certainly raised eyebrows among fans and analysts alike. Right now, the situation is that the veteran wide receiver Robert Woods, who's 33 years old, is probably slated to be the third option in the wideout hierarchy, behind Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson. And honestly, that's a bit concerning. Woods is a dependable veteran, no doubt about it, and he's a leader in the locker room, but at this stage of his career, expecting him to be the primary or even secondary target seems like a stretch. The Steelers have to think ahead. They've got a window to build a competitive team that can contend for a Super Bowl, and relying heavily on Woods, even with his veteran presence, might not be enough. This brings us to the big question: what's the plan? Are they planning to add a young, explosive receiver to develop? Or is there an opportunity to bring in someone with a bit more upside, someone who can immediately step into the role and grow with the team? Well, interestingly enough, one name that's been floating around in NFL circles, especially among Steelers fans and analysts, is John Metchie. You might remember him from Alabama, a talented wide receiver who's had quite a story of resilience. Metchie was diagnosed with leukemia in 2022, which kept him off the field for a long time, and then he suffered various injuries that delayed his development. Yet despite all that, he's someone who's shown incredible mental toughness and determination to get back on the field and prove his worth. Now, here's the thing. According to Yahoo Sports NFL insider Jordan Schultz, Metchie was on the trade block last offseason, which means teams were interested in acquiring him, possibly for a mid-round pick. And this season, with the Houston Texans, he's in a bit of a logjam. Nico Collins and Xavier Hutchinson are established receivers, and the Texans drafted two more wideouts in Jaden Higgins in the second round and Jalen Noel in the third round of this year's draft. So, it's pretty clear that Houston is looking to see what they have in their young receivers, and Metchie, despite his talent, is currently behind the curve in terms of targets. Some might ask, why would the Texans give up on him now? Well, the reality is that with so many young receivers coming in, and with his injury history and limited production, just 40 catches and 412 yards since returning in 2023, it seems like Houston is moving in a different direction. They're investing heavily in youth, and perhaps they see Metchie as more of a project than a key piece right now. But that's where the Steelers could come in. If Pittsburgh is unable to land a veteran wideout in free agency, which honestly they haven't really done yet, then taking a shot on Metchie could be a smart move. And let's not forget, Metchie's story is one of incredible resilience. He beat leukemia, returned to play, and despite all the setbacks, he's shown flashes of talent that could really flourish with the right opportunity. The Steelers, with their culture of developing players and their need for fresh blood at the receiver position, could be the perfect landing spot for him. Plus, he wouldn't cost much, probably just a 6th or 7th round pick in 2025, which is a small price to pay for a player with upside and a story that could inspire the entire team. Now, looking at the roster and the current state of the team, it's evident that the Steelers need to bolster their wide receiver room. You can't rely solely on Johnson, Robinson, and a few promising young players without adding more depth. The NFL is a league of matchups, and having multiple options on offense is what separates good teams from great ones. And let's be honest, the Steelers have been known for their solid drafting and player development. If they bring in someone like Metchie, they're not just adding a receiver, they're adding a player with a compelling story and a hunger to prove himself. But what about the bigger picture? The AFC North is getting tougher every year. The Bengals are still loaded with Joe Burrow and a talented cast. The Ravens are always tough defensively and on the ground with their versatile rushing attack. And even the Browns, with their new quarterback and strong defense, are not to be underestimated. The Steelers, under Mike Tomlin, have always been a team that finds ways to compete, but they need to match the division's talent with smart roster moves. Filling the receiver spot with a player like Metchie could give them that extra spark, that unpredictability that defenses struggle to handle. And speaking of the Steelers' recent history, they've been a team that emphasizes toughness, resilience, and smart football. Their defense remains one of the best in the league, led by players like T.J. Watt, who's arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL when healthy. The offensive line has been solid, and the running game, led by Najee Harris, continues to be a cornerstone of their identity. But the missing piece has often been that explosive receiver who can turn a short catch into a big play, a game changer. That's why the potential addition of someone like Metchie is so intriguing. He has the speed, the route running ability, and the mindset to succeed if given the chance. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the Steelers haven't been shy about making moves in the past. Their front office, led by Omar Khan, has shown a willingness to be aggressive when the right opportunity presents itself. And with the draft coming up, they might be targeting a receiver early, or they might opt for a savvy veteran or a mid-round pick. But the idea of taking a chance on Metchie, especially considering his story and the minimal cost involved, is something worth considering. It's a low-risk, high-reward scenario, and that's exactly the kind of move that can pay dividends as the season approaches. So, as we look ahead to training camp and the regular season, the Steelers are clearly in a position where they need to be creative. They've already shown they're willing to think outside the box, and adding a player like Metchie could be that sneaky move that gives them that little extra edge. It's about building depth, competition, and most importantly, giving quarterback Kenny Pickett more options to work with. Remember, offense is about rhythm and trust, and having a reliable receiver who can be a threat downfield or in the slot makes all the difference. And let's not forget, the Steelers have a history of unearthing diamonds in the rough. Players like Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, and even more recently Deontay Johnson were all overlooked at some point. Metchie, with his story of overcoming adversity, fits that mold perfectly. If they can give him the right environment, he might just blossom into a key piece of their offense, maybe even a future star. Of course, everything depends on how the team's front office evaluates their needs and the opportunities available in the draft or through trades. But the bottom line is, the Steelers are at a crossroads in their receiver room. They need someone who can bring both talent and motivation, and Metchie's story, skill set, and affordability make him a compelling option. Plus, with the upcoming NFL draft, there's always a chance they'll pick up a receiver early, but adding a proven player like Metchie later in the offseason could be just what they need to push toward another playoff run. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you believe the team should pursue Metchie or other veterans? Are you confident they'll find the right pieces in the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates. So stay tuned for the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news, because this team is never boring and every move counts when it's about bringing another trophy home. Remember, the Steelers' journey is far from over, and with each offseason move, they're trying to build something special, a team that can compete at the highest level, a team that can make Steelers fans proud once again. So keep the faith, stay loud, and let's see what this upcoming season has in store for the black and gold. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive, and I'll see you in the next one.